Hi, beneath this mask, I'm John Emmett, and I'm talking to some members of the British sailing team about their lockdown experience. So it's not been easy. I've got Anna here, you're one half of a FX team. Can you just tell us a little bit about that first, and then we can go back to how you got into full time sailing?
Yeah, that's right. I sail a 49er FX with Hannah Bristow, and we just teamed up at the start of this year, so it's quite new.
So can you just tell us what's your team called? I think a little bit of social media here.
Yes, we're HanAnna Sailing. Conveniently got merged names, so yeah, give us a follow.
And what was your route into the FX? Because this isn't your first venture into the Olympic classes, is it?
No, I've sailed 470 for the past 6 years, so I got into the British sailing team in 2013. Um, and I sailed with Amy Seabright, and we did really well. It was awesome, but then in 2019, after the Olympic trials, we stopped sailing the 470, which is going to go mixed for the next cycle, so we can't carry on as pairing. I needed a knee operation then, so
Oh, don't
yeah.
don't tell me what you've done here. I've just finished speaking to Rupert fairly recently.
Ah, well, Rupert copied my injury. He was clearly jealous when he saw me on crutches. I remember coming in one morning to a squad camp and he was like, I've done what you've done, Anna. So I tore my ACL and had to have that reconstructed, which is about 6 to 8 months out for rehab.
So the top there is was it skiing that you did it?
It was originally, but just to clarify, it was when I was 17, before I was in the British sailing team. And I went for a long time just sort of managing the injury, but eventually it was clear that I really did need the surgery to get it reconstructed.
And everything is all good now. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but you haven't got any barriers to training or racing or competing.
Yeah, it feels really good now, actually. You say it's not going to be perfect, and like, no, it probably isn't ever, but it feels really solid, and I'm really pleased with how it feels.
I'm very pleased to hear that. So, can you just tell us a little bit about your 470 before we go into what you've been doing recently?
Um, yeah, the 470 was great. Teamed up with Amy Seabright when I just in my second year of uni. Finished uni and went full time. We just got some good results straight off the bat, so got into the British sailing team straight away and had some really good years. We climbed up the ladder, and then it was just when Hannah Mills and Ailey McIntyre got selected for the 2020 games that we decided to split up as a team.
And obviously, you mentioned because of the Olympic classes going forward. But what would you say the differences, the main differences between the 470 and the FX?
Um, the FX is much faster. Everybody told me that, but it is definitely a lot faster. And as far as crewing goes, it's a lot more physical than the 470 was. I've had to really strengthen my grip. You're just holding on to stuff all the time, whereas actually you're not holding that much high load stuff in the 470. Um, I don't have to do the pumping anymore, which I do not miss. But yeah, generally I'd say it's a lot more physical, but in some quite different ways.
And what does your physical training look like now? Because it's lockdown, it's been harder for some, but obviously British Sailing Team, you're elite sports persons, you have a exemption there. So what are you doing there to improve your physique?
Well, we're super lucky in this second lockdown that elite sport has been allowed to carry on, which means we're still allowed to use our private gym. But we're also really lucky that we've teamed up with a CrossFit gym in Weymouth, CrossFit Weymouth, and we're allowed to go in as our elite bubble into their gym, which obviously the public can't access anymore, unfortunately. So we're super lucky to be able to train there. And sorry, and our English Institute of Sport gym down here.
I mean, that's great to hear that you guys are still pushing as hard as you possibly can. One of the things was quite interesting to know your plans for the future. It's a time of great uncertainty, but what's your hopes both in terms of training and the racing calendar?
It is really uncertain. Obviously, we hope by the time we get to sort of March next year, we can go ahead with the normal calendar as planned. Between now and then, we're hoping to go to Villamora before Christmas. There's a regatta planned there, but it looks a little bit more uncertain at the minute, so we'll have to see how things pan out.
So, for the benefit of people at home, what's a normal calendar look like?
We start in Palma and Mallorca in March, and then generally move on to Hyères in France for a regatta there. And then next year it would be rolling on into our Europeans in May, which the venue hasn't been decided yet. and then you carry on, keep touring. So there's an event in the Netherlands and another one in Germany after that.
I have to be careful because otherwise I'll call like the event in the Midlands Spa, which it hasn't been for many, many years. But the first event you think will probably be Palma, so that's Princess Sophia, and that's were you there this year?
I wasn't this year, no, because of my knee operation. So I was out. I had the operation in September last year, and I was just ready to get back in the boat in March. So we basically, Hannah, I teamed up with Hannah at this point. She was still in her final year at university. And on the day that she moved down to Weymouth, basically, she had a month off for Easter, and we were going to learn to sail the FX in that time. She'd already
Sounds perfect so far.
yeah, it was a perfect plan. And on the day that I was allowed back in the boat, that was the day lockdown started. So, having been out the boat for 7 months at that point, it was really frustrating to go into the lockdown.
I can understand that, but I'm glad everything is as on track as it can be, and you're able to sail at the moment. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It actually worked out kind of well in the end, looking back on it. In the first lockdown, Hannah and I lived together, which I think most people would think was quite rogue, living with your sailing partner during that lockdown. But it was actually really cool. We got to know each other really fast and made loads of good plans for our campaign going forward. And we were able to sail as soon as you could get out because we were in the same household. So we've yeah sort of progressed from there, and we've been doing really well. And yeah, we're sailing at the minute, and it's good to be training.
I'm very pleased to hear that, and best of luck in Villamora or wherever you end up next.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.